Welcome back to College Football Addiction. It's Thanksgiving week, but more importantly, in the college football world, it is Rivalry week. And we're going to talk about a big one between the ACC and SEC here with Jeremy from Cardinals Sports Zone. Jeremy, happy Thanksgiving week, man. How you doing?
Happy Thanksgiving week. It's a very rare double victory Monday for us too. So
we
I'm very
we
excited.
we
Uh,
haven't had. I don't know if we've had one yet this year. So here we are. Appreciate BetUS for their support. We'll dive into this game. But speaking about that, before we get to the rivalry game or some Thanksgiving food talk, which might be fun too, complete domination from Louisville. And I think there were a lot of outcomes that were possible, but this is certainly one that I thought could happen, right? Pittsburgh limping down the stretch, a capable team, a physical team, but Louisville absolutely came out. And it felt like, I don't know, in rewatching it, I didn't catch it live. I'm out of town, different background and stuff. But in rewatching it, it felt like, all right, we know what happened last week and we're going to make up for that.
Absolutely. So I started to doubt myself a little bit because of that game. Obviously, I mean that's just first nature to anybody. On last Friday night show, we broke down both teams, and on paper, every single statistic was right there. Like
Yeah.
they allowed 35, we averaged 36. They average X amount of yards. I don't. As soon as I read them off, I forget them. But like every statistical category except for turnovers was right there, hand in hand. So that made me even a little bit more nervous to the point to where I even predicted a overtime victory for Louisville Friday night. But the team we saw on Saturday was the team that the rest of the country had seen all year long, and that's what I hoped was that was just that game out west was just an anomaly. We probably should have had it. I mean, there's so many things you can point to. We should have left the day earlier instead of coming up the day before. Should have punted instead of giving them the ball at midfield. Still never going to get over that. Just so many variables there, but yeah, that's the team at the beginning of the season. We'll say about a month into the season when it looked like both teams were going to be really, really good. And I don't want to take anything away from Pittsburgh. I feel like they're a quality team. They just, once you get one loss and it turns into two, sometimes it could turn into three and just snowball downhill. So I still believe they're a quality team, and I'm not going to take anything away from us. It was in every facet of the game. I mean, on Friday night, I predicted we would to win the game. We would need to match our our takeaways for the season. We had 3 interceptions coming into which mind blowing. I don't remember another season since I've been covering U of L sports where we only had 3 interceptions going into game 10, but we had 3 interceptions against Pittsburgh, so doubled that up. So it was a everything, right place, right time. We knew by looking at the stats that we're a better run first team, but against Pittsburgh, we knew it was critical to get the passing game going because you look at the top 2 or 3 tacklers, they're all safeties and DBs. Well, why? Well, because their defense gets passed through like Swiss cheese. So we knew, and again, their top 2 tacklers this game were from their secondary because we just kept going at them and going at them and going at them. So it once the game started getting going and we played, the defense played up to the level that we're accustomed to. I knew it was going to be pretty tough for them to come back, especially after their starting quarterback went out.
Yeah, I think it was also impressive because it very much could have been a place where you mentioned Pittsburgh has let one loss turn into 2 losses, turn into 3 losses. Like they've struggled with that. And Louisville was coming off of a pretty bad loss that no one expected, and they've got a rivalry game the week after. And so you had a very physical Pitt team sandwiched in between 2 distracting things. Like it's hard to play the game before a rivalry game. That's why almost everybody just schedules cupcakes the game before their rivalry game so that they just can sleepwalk through it. And you see what happened in the SEC this week with teams playing tough games before the final week of the season. And so, yeah, I think it was it was a credit to Louisville.
Texas had a cupcake this past week.
They did, yeah. Appreciate BetUS for their support. We'll get right back to chatting with Jeremy. But if you are betting on any football this Thanksgiving week, make sure you're betting with BetUS. Use our code YouTube150 for 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit. You get 125% on your next two. All three of those up to $2,000. Go to BetUS today and use code YouTube150. Appreciate BetUS for their support. But yeah, like you just it's hard, or it's a credit, it's a testament to Louisville being able to put behind them the bad loss and not be looking forward to obviously what's a pretty big game here. So with the rivalry game, obviously it makes or breaks the season at this point, really for both teams. Louisville's not going to hit the heights that they wanted to hit this season. Same thing with UK. Like they certainly thought that they might be a little bit better, especially starting out playing Ole Miss well, playing Georgia well, and they've faltered down the stretch, getting blown out by Florida, not being competitive in certain games. But if you can win this one for either side, it obviously makes up for a lot of the warts and it fixes a lot of the issues. It certainly made Kentucky feel better last year, but how much do you think the revenge factor for Louisville is important in getting this one back after Kentucky kind of unexpectedly won last year?
Well, they've unexpectedly won a couple years in a row because we had a head coach that just was golly gee Wilkers all the time, and he didn't. Most of the time, it didn't look like he knew his hind end from the hole in the ground. But I digress because I don't like to throw shade on anybody. Uh, their figure had come into the season saying that they were going to be a 10-win team. So I feel like even if we beat them, we've beaten a potential 10-win team this year. Look, let's make no mistake about it. For them, this is their make or break. If we lose, we still go to a bowl game. If they lose, they get to go to Kroger and work their part-time summer jobs. So, or however that works down there, I'm not really sure. But it is absolutely imperative that Louisville wins this game. This is an annoying game because for so long Louisville they didn't come close to beating Louisville, and now it's been I think 4 in a row, and they got lucky Jeff Brom's first year. I think everybody knows that and it feels like now that I remember, it feels like stuff like that happens to Jeff Brom a lot. The Stanford game, losing to them last year, uh, on pretty much a phantom. Like everybody saw the hold, but not except for the refs. Even the Kentucky players were like disappointed at first, and then they realized no flag was thrown. Um, but yeah, it's imperative for us to reestablish our dominance against this team. To me, they're never going to be a serious contender for anything. That's just my mind frame, my mindset. I've never, I mean, I'm 40 years old. Well, a little north of 40 years old. I won't say exactly. I've never seen them dominate anybody. They've been accidentally ranked, and I say that because there were a couple times Louisville got all the way uh, got ranked a little bit higher than we should have just because we won games and other teams lost. But I think they were accidentally ranked 6 1 year and then lost 4 or 5 games in a row. Um, South Florida actually was all the way up to number 2 1 year, I remember. But nevertheless, uh, I don't respect their football program. I hope that we beat them handedly, but it's always dangerous playing a team that has nothing to lose, and they have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
We're probably going to Jacksonville either way. They've been up here watching us every home game. That's probably a given. They're not going to Jacksonville. They're not going to Evansville. They're not even going to Louisville. Well, no, it's in Lexington. So this is the end all be all for them this season, and it happens an awful lot. If you look back in the series history, it happens an awful lot where we're either playing a under 500 Kentucky team at the end of the year or a 5-win Kentucky team that needs another win to be bowl eligible. Well, that's not the case this year. They have absolutely nothing to lose. Expect the normal pregame shenanigans where they try to start fights with their star players. Anything they can do to even this up a little bit, they're going to try. The spreads, I've never seen a spread this consistent across the board. It is 3.5 everywhere but circa, and even there, it's 4 in Louisville's favor. Uh, I just want to. I'm excited. I hate that it's in Lexington because it smells like for those of you all that don't know, Lexington is Kentucky's armpit. Like anytime you drive through Lexington, it smells like somebody farted. I'm sorry for that's unprofessional wording, but look, it's rivalry week. I'm not one of these guys that talks rival. They are. I'm a humble Louisville fan. I've been humbled too many times to be like this, except for basketball week and football week, and now even baseball week. We talk trash a little bit more than we normally do, but yeah, we have to get this win.
Their offense has been pretty putrid here lately, and so to me, the key for Louisville is if Louisville can take care of the ball, and Kentucky's defense at times has shown up and done a good job, and Stoops has done a good job at times scheming things to slow games down. You think about Ole Miss, you think about Georgia. Obviously, that's much earlier in the year. There were even times against Texas where they weren't getting, like Texas probably should have won that by more, but I think that if Louisville takes care of the ball and if Shuck can keep from turning it over and they don't fumble a bunch, if Louisville wins the turnover battle and just plays their game, I just don't see how Kentucky can score enough to keep up with Louisville. Now, turnovers, great equalizer. If Louisville is quick 3 and outs and Kentucky is having these long sustained drives like they did against Ole Miss and Georgia, then things get weird. But outside of fluky things, to me, this is Louisville's to win. And I know it's a rivalry and I know things get weird, but again, turnover is the big one to me. If Shuck can keep the ball out of harm's way, if they can be efficient, I do think they go in and win. And I'll pick them. I think they win by a touchdown. I think it is closer than maybe people want because you always want to win a rivalry game by a million, but it is still a rivalry game. So I think they win by 7. To me, the big thing is don't turn the ball over, and you probably find a way this weekend.
So here's what I'm going to say: we have not only forced a very low amount of turnovers, but thankfully we've also committed very few turnovers. So it's kind of evened out a little bit. Shuck's only thrown 6 interceptions. I think we've only lost, if I remember from reading my notes yesterday, I only lost 3 fumbles. So we're finally after Saturday's game in the negative. I think we're -1 or -2 on the season. But so I don't expect turnovers to be that big of a deal because we don't commit them a lot. We don't force them a lot. My head's telling me to pick Louisville by 1. My heart's telling me 42-14. I would love for that to happen. That would shut them all up. It would send them back to their Uncle Daddy's house a little bit early for Thanksgiving weekend, and then go home, kiss their sisters, and go to bed, and it'll be okay.
Speaking on Thanksgiving, what's the best way to cook a turkey to you? And what's your favorite side item at Thanksgiving that you have to have on your plate?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the best way growing up, Dad just put it in that little pot and and boiled it out, did all that stuff. I'm a smoker guy now.
Oh yeah, get
I got
after
a
it.
pellet smoker about 6 years ago, and I either smoke all the food or I put it on the Blackstone, one or the other. I'm just a big gimmick guy, if you will. So the smoked turkey, that's my favorite. And if you ask, I don't really have a favorite side because it's like, oh my God, it's my most favorite side. But there's a couple of losing my dad a couple years ago. There were a couple things he had to have every year, so it's kind of like a sentimental thing.
Sure.
Green bean casserole. I don't know if this is a nationwide side dish or if it's just Southern or whatever. But my dad's mom used to make him corn pudding, which sounds
Oh
disgusting,
yeah.
but it's really good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have corn. My wife makes a really good corn pudding and green bean casserole every year, and you got to have decent stuffing. Like I don't like the stuffing that's got all the onions and celery in it. I like just a basic stuffing that crust up on the outside. I got to have a corner piece so I can get that. I don't know it, but
Extra. Yeah.
now I'm excited for Thanksgiving. Thanks, TJ.
Yeah, I like it smoked. I fry it a lot. I do drop it in the grease. My dad smokes though, so we usually have one of each, so which is
Gotcha.
good. And then I like sweet potato casseroles. It's kind of like a cheating because it's kind of like a dessert, but we eat it with the meal. So it's not a dessert. It just basically is. So
The
Jeremy,
wife,
I appreciate.
the wife loves that. I don't even know if
Oh
I've
man,
ever eaten a sweet potato before.
it's amazing.
I might have
Oh,
to.
it's got marshmallows and brown sugar and pecan. There's like 4% sweet potato in it. It's
You
a
know what?
dessert.
I'll
It's a
give it a
pie.
for you, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Try it. If not, just extra green bean casserole. You'll wash it out. So
Absolutely. Look, I knew we were going to win this week because you can't have TJ Pittinger without Pitt.
yeah, look at that.
It was a good luck charm. If only I had a FSU in my name, or who do y'all play next?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Our rivalry week too.
Okay. So if only my name was Jeremy Florida or something like that,
Yeah, you'd be good.
it'd be good.
Jerry, where can people follow you, man? Where can they find your work?
They can find all the written stuff at cardinalsportszone.com, and they can find our podcast on YouTube at Cardinal Sports Zone.
Appreciate you, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate Bet US for their support, man. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.